Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Cox, Information Officer with Carr Fire. Welcome. This is the 2 p.m. press conference for the Carr Fire. Just a few things to start off. Firstly, we do have a sign language interpreter. If you could please keep your camera shots wide enough so that you can have her in it as well. Secondly, please silence all cell phones and pagers at this time and take any conversations outside that you may have during this press conference. Thirdly, there'll be a question and answer session at the conclusion of the formal speakers. Please keep those to the general broad questions. There will be an opportunity for one-on-one breakout interviews at the conclusion of this press conference. Without further ado, we'll start off with an operations briefing from CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 1 Operations Section Chief Steve Crawford.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. As he mentioned, Steve Crawford, I'm the Incident Management Team 1 Operations Section Chief. Let me just give you a rundown on current conditions. This is what we call our operations briefing map. It's a big depiction of what we got going, and I'm just going to kind of go around and tell you what kind of the latest and greatest from yesterday. The biggest issue we had yesterday is it made a big run from Whiskeytown south here towards IGO down in the bottom. And Clear Creek Road there. We've held it in that position for most of the day today. The troops made a good attempt at going direct. Now that's in a different fuel type. It's down there mostly in a grass model, so it makes it a little bit easier for the guys to get boots on the ground. It moves a little faster, but once it's stopped, it's a little bit easier for us to control it. They're making pretty good progress working up to the north and to the west. Down here on the lower piece, but we still got a lot of open line over in this piece here that doesn't have any containment to it yet. As we get up above here, closer to the 299, it did make a little bit of push out towards 299 and the County Line Road. The County Line Road is this depiction is this X's and dots that go along the side over here is where we want to keep that fire to the east of that. And it's bumped up against there. Within the last few hours, it's slopped over, which means it's gone past that a little bit, but we're getting folks on that and hopefully making progress on keeping it on this side of that County Line Road. It did make another run up here yesterday also and ran up. It's a little bit further up here against in Division Hotel, where it's up against County Line Road as well, up in the top section there. To the north, it keeps moving a little bit. It's not moving as fast. It's pretty much made it up to this, what this depicts as dozer line up here at the top. It's kind of made its way up to that, back down in the dozer line. And right now it's holding in that piece. The section over here in the northeast side, all this is open line. There's no control lines on here, but it kind of slowed itself down and it's kind of sitting there. We're taking opportunities to come and take little pizzas out as we can. With the decrease in activity, we're able to get boots on the ground. They're starting to make some good progress on there. As we come around over here by Reading on the east side here, the folks are in here what we call tactical patrol. So we're the in and around the structures and the residents. There's a lot of indirect or not line that's straight with structures, and any little bit of grass or brush or something, even ornamental stuff at people's houses, if we don't get in there and we knock that stuff down, once again, winds come up, it could throw it into a grass field or something, and we'd have a little bit of another significant fire potential with the wind blowing and all that. So we're making sure we get all those pieces connected. Guys are walking the edges of all that piece through the residence and tying that stuff in. As we come down here on the lower section of Reading as well, all this stuff is looking better. We've had a couple of places where the guys thought they had it, and it's come over and just a little bit grass fires, like 15-acre fires or something that they've gotten good handle on. But again, it's constantly picking little spots where it's a thorn in our side, but we're making progress on that. A lot of this piece down here below. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Brett Gavea, Incident Commander for CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 1. I'd kind of like to start off with a few safety issues that we've been running into. We have noticed that there are drone footages online of folks flying drones over this fire. That poses a huge safety risk to our folks. If you fly, we cannot. We have to ground all of our aircraft as if there's reports of drones over the fire. And it's quite a process to get our aircraft back in the area as we try to clear those drones, find out where they're coming from, and chase that down. So we ask that you please refrain from flying drones over the fire. As you heard Chief Crawford talk about the operations on the fire, we're feeling a lot more optimistic today as we are starting to gain some ground rather than being in the defensive mode on this fire all the time. We're starting to make some good progress out there. I think you can see that. As we move around the fire, we're going to continue to work hard to get direct line on this thing. I think by tonight you'll start seeing containment percentages increase. The fire does continue to grow on us in some remote, inaccessible areas. We're making our way into those areas. The positive thing about that is that we are out away from many of the residence structures and critical infrastructure in and around Shasta County. However, that does pose some threats to communities that are further out, and so we are working hard to make sure that we contain those areas, make good access, and have plans to move forward. We ask for your patience as we move forward with repopulation. I spoke about repopulation yesterday, and there's a process to that. You're going to see repopulation beginning very soon. Those areas in and around the city of Reading that are undamaged, that were precautionary, that we took everybody out based on the fire behavior that we saw as we were being very conservative, you're going to see those repopulating very soon, and those orders are going to continue probably daily as we move forward. Again, I spoke about our help from the National Guard yesterday. We have great assistance from all of our cooperators up and down the state, the Master Mutual Aid System, our local, state, and federal cooperators, but we also have the National Guard here. They've came in. We've got 300 troops that came in to help us in the support function. They're helping us in the air, and we're getting a lot of crews to come in from the National Guard to assist us with suppression, and I'd like to recognize Colonel Paletti in the back of the room that's here to help us with that, so I appreciate that, Colonel. Again, I just want to thank all the agencies, all the cooperators, all the citizens for cooperating with us as we move through this disaster. And again, we're here till the end, and we will get to an end, and we will bring some peace to this chaos. So thank you.
Good afternoon. Rick Young, Incident Commander with the National Park Service. Chief Gavea mentioned the cooperators we've been working with. In addition to the state and federal agencies, those cooperators represent 163 different fire departments from border to border. But that being said, there's 17 major fires going currently in California with over 200,000 acres currently burning, which has left the state resources really taxed. So I'm pleased to say that through the Farm Bill, the National Park Service and CAL FIRE signed an agreement to bring an additional 150 engines into the state from out of state. And some of those engines are coming from as far away as Florida. So I just want to thank you guys for your patience while we continue to work as quickly as we can to get you guys back into your houses. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Mike Hebrard, Unit Chief for the Shasta Training Unit and the Chief of the Shasta County Fire Department. My message today is actually very simple in that I want the community to know that we care about you and we are moving as fast as we can to get you back into your homes if you're in an unaffected area of the fire. We understand how that feels. A lot of us are evacuated as well. We want to get you back in and help this community come back together. So just know and be patient with us that we are clearing areas and making it safe for you to go home as fast as we can, as well as continuing to fight this fire out on the other flanks where it is still actively burning. So be patient with us and know that we are working as hard as we can for you to get you back into your homes. Thank you.
Will Francis, the Reading Fire Department. I'd just like to echo what Chief Ebart said. Reading Fire Department is hurting deeply, but we are committed to serving the community and getting everybody back in their homes as quickly as we possibly can. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Tom Basenko, Shasta County Sheriff and Director of Emergency Services for Region 3, which includes the 13 northernmost counties for California. We are working under a unified command with our cooperators with the fire side of the house. we have established an emergency operations center with our city and state partners with OES. We have a law enforcement mutual aid in the North State. Currently, there are over 100 officers assigned to this incident, and they are coming from all around surrounding counties and cities that are contributing to this. We're also assisted by animal regulation officers from Siskiyou County, Tehama County, our search and rescue unit, and Haven Humane. Right now we have 70 officers assigned to this incident on this shift, out patrolling the evacuated areas, looking for crime, looters, and trying to keep this area safe. We're also being assisted by the California National Guard Military Police Unit with about a total of 600 soldiers serving our nation and serving Shasta County right here to help keep it safe. They are here in a support and assistance mode, assisting us with not only personnel at the roadblock areas, but also with other resources. The California Highway Patrol has been assisting us and have offered a lot of resources at the command posts, in addition to the roadblock areas, with bringing in approximately 140 officers from throughout the state. Our duties include the cooperation and cooperative work with evacuations, working with the fire officials to get those notices out ahead of the fire. And just because you may not see smoke or flames does not mean there is not a danger. We try to get out ahead to get the people out first, so then the large, heavy equipment pieces can come in safely. And after an evacuation, we do have the security patrols throughout those evacuated areas occurring 24 hours a day. We're also working with the fire cooperators with mapping of the fire and trying to keep the public advised of that through our website and through our Facebook page. A number of evacuation shelters have been established: Shasta College, Cross Point Community Church, Simpson University, Foothill High School, and Trinity High School in Weaverville. We ask that if you are not an evacuee and needing the services of the shelters, to seek other assistance. There have been reports of people coming in from outside of the evacuation areas, and that is leading to the shelters being full. We're also being assisted at the shelters through the American Red Cross. A missing persons hotline has been established, and that number is 530-225-4277. To date, there's been 16 reports made of missing persons. 9 of those have been cleared. 7 are currently being investigated. And there has been a 4th victim identified as a result of the fire consuming a residence and a decedent located in that residence. We have not released the names of any of the decedents in the fire, and that is because through the coroner's office, the identification and release of the name of decedents is under the authority of the coroner's office. There's also a procedure that we have to make sure that the decedents are properly identified, and then the next of kin and their loved ones notified. The most recent one did occur within the fire area, and I'm not releasing the area where it occurred until we have more confirmation and working with the family in this matter. Once the fire is out, we will begin recovery efforts. We will be establishing a local assistance center with local, state, and federal officials, with nonprofit organizations, and with volunteers. And that is for helping those who have been in this fire with damage, loss of homes and other properties, with disaster assistance programs, streamlined recovery processes, and a centralized location for services. That local assistance center has not yet been established, but it will be in the next coming days or weeks. Reentry and population is first and foremost with all the cooperators here and with the Shasta County Sheriff's Office. However, that's being assessed continuously for repopulation and reentry. And it is dependent on a number of factors, which includes fire and the fire behavior, and then working with utility companies and others to ensure safe reentry and repopulation. Safety is first and foremost in our minds, and we know that you want to get back into your homes and back into the areas that have been affected so that you may assist the damages, but we have to have everyone from the fire cooperators to the public and the owners of the lands to be safe. I am very proud of the men and women of law enforcement that have been serving here in Shasta County, our own Shasta County Sheriff's deputies, our staff, and our volunteers, in addition to the law enforcement agencies that have been assisting us, especially here locally with the assistance of the Reading Police Department and the Anderson Police Department, Probation Department, and the District Attorney's Office. The quick actions of these men and women working with the fire officials for the evacuations and the evacuation notices led to lives being saved. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Greg Bartz. I'm an assistant chief assigned to the Northern Division office here in Reading. Currently, we have 120 officers with boots on the ground here in Shasta County, assisting our great allied agency partners in the Shasta County Sheriff's Office and the Reading Police Department, as well as Carr Fire. Currently, we are manning 44 hard closures, and we're also providing roving patrols in an attempt to provide proactive patrol in the areas that are affected by the fire to ensure that those who wish to trespass or bypass the hard closures are contacted, and trying to avoid any type of theft type activity. Right now, we have employees or sworn employees from our Valley Division, our Central Division, and our Golden Gate Division up here in Shasta County. We are doing this on a rotational basis, and we're here to fight the good fight with all of our partners all the way up until the end of this incident. We share a lot in common with folks who have been affected by the fire. Many of our employees have been evacuated, as well as there's been some traumatic stuff with our folks as well. So we're here local, we're part of the community, and we are trying to cope our way through this just like everybody else is, and meanwhile providing the highest level of safety to the public while we're out there taking care of business. Thank you.
My name is Leonard Modi. I'm the Shasta County Supervisor for District 2. Most of the burn area is in District 2. But my comments are actually to all the citizens of Shasta County who've been affected by this fire. And I don't want to belabor the point, but I wanted to reiterate what's already been said by those behind me. Be patient. Like you, I've been evacuated from my home. I understand what the angst that you're going through and the concern and wanting to get back to see if you have homes left and take care of other things that may be needed there. But let the fire personnel make it safe before you go back. That's their main goal. Be patient, give them the time. The second thing I'd like to just say is I've been a lifelong resident of this community. I've never seen a fire with such destruction here in this area ever before. I would tell you I've been out there in many of the areas with the fire personnel looking at the destruction. I will tell you that your firefighters are doing an extraordinary job battling this blaze. They should be truly recognized for what they're doing. I also want to say thank you to all those who are helping, law enforcement obviously, our National Guard, OES, and all the other support groups that are here. Hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands coming to help support our community. We should be grateful for that support, and we should thank them whenever possible. But I want to personally say to all of the fire personnel behind me, as well as law enforcement, job well done. Thank you for working so hard to keep our community safe.
Thank you. That concludes the formal presentations for this press conference. Just before we get into Q&As, we do have representatives up here. Chief Moore from the Reading Police Department is up here. In addition, U.S. Congressman LaMalfa is also in the room, as well as some cooperators from different agencies. So questions that may be specific for them, they are available in the room as well. With that, I'll open up to any questions.
We're not releasing the area where the most recent decedent was found. As far as the evacuation notices, the Sheriff's Office and our allied partners were giving notifications ahead of the fire as much as possible. This was a very quick-moving fire. We used a number of methods from technology such as reverse 911, code red, and iPause systems, in addition to going actually door to door, knocking on doors and making those notifications as best as we could, and also using loudspeakers on our PA systems within our emergency vehicles. Thank you.
Sheriff, can you clarify the figure of the death toll? You mentioned you said a fourth person has been killed. I thought it was higher with the previous ones for the entire Carr Fire.
For the entire Carr Fire, I'm speaking to the death investigations that we had through the Sheriff's Office. From there were additional 2 firefighter deaths previous to these. That would bring the grand total to 6 people that have been killed. And my sympathy goes out to their families and for the firefighters and their brothers and sisters that have been here fighting the fire, the loss of those firefighters. I'll have Chief Moore come up and speak to actual those reports within the city of Reading, and then I'll follow up after he concludes.
Hi, Chief Moore, Reading Police Department. Looting became a problem a couple of days ago when we started all of our evacuation zones and neighborhoods. We have since beefed up patrol in most all neighborhoods, in fact all neighborhoods. Everyone we come into contact in those neighborhoods, if they don't have a legitimate reason to be there, if we don't arrest them for looting, they will be arrested for something else. And so it's a no-tolerance stance. We don't want people in neighborhoods. People are getting victimized, and it's unfortunate. I don't have exact numbers, so looting is a specific crime. We're often getting to these folks before they commit the crime. We just arrested one with illegal weapons in a neighborhood that he shouldn't have been. And we've had multiple incidents, us, the Sheriff's Department, and the California Highway Patrol. So we are nipping it in the bud before it happens, and that's the goal. But it's a concern of mine, and we're taking it serious. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. In regards to the Sheriff's Office, we have not received direct reports of looting. Usually we have those. There has been an arrest made of a parolee that was in an area. He was probably out and about to do looting, but again, he got arrested on outstanding warrants, and he was arrested and taken to jail.
Sheriff, the second.
I'll take this question, and I'll follow up with you.
The 4 civilian deaths, were there evacuation orders in those areas where they died?
We are looking into that. I believe there was, yes. And I can't speak to all 4. In the most recent one, we have confirmed that the person did receive evacuation notices and did not evacuate. Sir.
Sheriff, if you can speak, and as well as any of your colleagues who want to speak to the fatigue that your officers or firemen are facing, this has been a very long fire season. How are people holding up, especially officials?
It is very, very difficult at times for our individuals. They are working for the law enforcement side, they are working very long hours out there on patrol looking for criminal activity and keeping our communities safe. However, they are getting through this. One of the officers one of our deputies lost his home, and he made a Facebook post that said he lost his home, but he's still out there working and in the areas patrolling, and no looting on his watch. And I used that, gave him credit, and used that as a briefing item to the men and women that are out there patrolling these areas. As to the fatigue factor for the fire folks, I'll have a CAL FIRE person speak to that.
So we talked about this previously. This fire started here on Monday, just a week ago. Some of those folks, as the fire came into town from 299, came into Old Shasta, came into Reading, went through Reading, Keswick. Those folks, 48-plus hour shifts, they were just going on pure adrenaline. They were doing everything they could to save structures. So they were absolutely exhausted, no doubt about that. We got them off the line. That was a priority of Chief Gavea's, to get them off the line after those 48 hours, get them 24 hours down and rest as the next shift went on. And they took care of the houses from there. But the folks, all the responders, just going out of their way, everything they could, they know what's at stake, and they did everything in their power to stop it. So they'll work through it. Yes, it's a long fire season. It's only July. Last year, we were in Napa, Sonoma, Mendocino in October. We were in Ventura and Santa Barbara in December into January. We got a long ways to go. It is early in the fire season. So yeah, we recognize it in our department, and we work with the guys to try to get them some downtime when we can get them off the fires. It's just something we have to work through.
The evacuated folks from the burned areas are desperate to know about the condition of their homes. I've been asked if there's any way that with the windshield surveys, if access could be made to dash cams, dash cam footage after that.
So the windshield survey is perhaps a deceiving name. It's not having actual dash cam video of it. That's just going by, looking through your windshield, yes, a house here was destroyed or survived. And so there isn't footage per se of that.
Is there any way for people to find out specific information about their homes?
I'm going to defer to the sheriff to see. We collect the information and we get it into the county, and then I believe that's part of what they're working on setting up to get to folks.
Thank you, Chief. In regards to the firefighters, I'll go back a little bit in regards to the firefighter fatigue. I was out with Chief Hebrard early in the incident, and you can see the fatigue on the faces of the firefighters. But really helps encourage them is a thank you. We were giving verbal encouragement, just saying thank you, you're great, you're awesome, and you can see their faces perk up and they get re-energized. So I asked for our community to send thank yous to the firefighters, whether it be a postcard or something posted near the fence, maybe down Highway 273. That gives a lot of encouragement. There are boards of plywood here that get posted with thank yous, and that is a big plus for the firefighters that are coming in to recover. In regards to the addresses, we have an expansive area to survey with nearly 100,000 acres that have been burned and a number of structures, including homes. And I'll see what we can do about perhaps posting those addresses as well. One thing that does concern me is as you post the addresses or the media comes in and perhaps does some filming on the address, and yet the people may have not known about that being destroyed yet. But thank you.
What is the status of the fire as it relates to Trinity County? And there are homes that are being threatened in that area. Is there anything these homeowners can do now prior to evacuation to protect their own property?
So I'm going to have that as a two-part, and I'll address your last part, and I'm going to have Chief Gavea address the other part as the incident commander. So in general, to protect your houses, we require defensible space. That is Public Resources Code 4291. That requires 100 feet of clearance around structures. So you should have done that early in the spring. That's what you should have done. If folks haven't done it, they can start removing some of the vegetation around their houses. Although, as it's windy, you can't do that later in the day. You don't want to start a fire doing that either with a weed eater or those types of things. So it's somewhat of a double-edged sword at this point when people are doing that. But yes, they should have cleared around their houses and structures that they have to help the firefighters help them when they come in to try to save their houses. And I'll give it to Chief Gavea to speak to the fire.
So if I understood you right, evacuations in relation to the fire activity in Trinity County?
Well, that and what is the status of the Carr Fire as it relates to Trinity County?
The fire was very active in that area yesterday that prompted those evacuations in the Lewiston area. Again, as I spoke the last couple of days and again in this meeting here, we've been very aggressive. Much more so than even on most of our normal vegetation fires that we have encountered over the past seasons, all because of the fire behavior that we've experienced on this fire. That type of behavior can show itself at any time without a moment's notice, as it did to us 2 days in a row. Again, just to reiterate that, I believe it was Wednesday night of last week, I'm losing days a little bit, that behavior started at 9 o'clock at night, and we expected the next night that's when we'd see some of those same winds, and then it was 3 o'clock the next afternoon. So the weather's been very unpredictable. I can tell you the inversion layer has affected how the weather behaves. So we've been very aggressive of evacuating much further out than we would normally until we can get a good handle on that. We've made very good progress up there today, but we have to have some decision points to where we feel very confident that it's not going to make it there, and then we can let people back into their homes. And we're going to do that as soon as we possibly can.
I have a question. When people have been evacuated, is there something they can do to make their homes easier to protect by the firefighters? Like, do you leave a garage door open? Do you leave a note? I've heard like turning off gas and electricity and all that stuff.
I think as we point out through all of our information, our fire safe information that we put out every year, being prepared ahead of time by clearing everything, making it easier for firefighters to get in there, having your access into your home clear. If you have long driveways, clearing of brush, debris, not stacking firewood up against your home, making it much easier for firefighters to get in. As far as access into your home, you know, all the standard things, closing your blinds, all those types of things. If you feel that you need to leave a door open or you are trusting of that, that does help at times if there are. Firefighters do have tools to access the house. If there is a fire that starts on the house, we need assistance on getting in. They can make access in an emergency. As you heard from Sheriff Pasenko yesterday, in the case of animals, if you're leaving and you're leaving animals, trying to leave some of the animal food outside, because the firefighters will look for food, they'll put water for the animals, and if they can physically find food, they will do those types of things. But really preparing well before fire season is what we recommend, not waiting until the evacuation order. Well, the amount of the sheer vastness of the fire, the amount of destruction that the fire has laid out, as well as the amount of infrastructure, homes, power lines, all those types of things contribute to containment. When can we get firefighters into certain areas? How do we get in there safely? And as I explained on the containment is a percentage of the overall fire line. We have over 100 miles of perimeter on this fire. It's a percentage of that where we don't feel like we have to physically work the ground. We're basically in patrol status to make sure that no smokes are popping up. That means we've already worked the ground, and we call it mop up, and we've put it into a very good state, and we feel very comfortable with that section of line. It's just we're in very complex. We're spread thin, as you well know, as we have 100 miles of perimeter. But that number is going to increase as that line sits. We get it in place. We work that dirt, like I said, and a day or two goes by, then you're going to see those containments coming up. I can tell you that we're making great strides every day getting those containment lines on the fire and then working it to get it to that containment status. Everything that comes out from, you can go to the CAL FIRE webpage and go to current incidents and go to the click on Carr Fire. There's all kinds of status in there as far as the incident, mapping, things like that. Our PIO shops are constantly putting out media releases. Every time we do evacuations, repopulations, those media releases are going out. So through all of you and the local media, that information is going out. We also have Twitter and social media sites that information is going out on. And as I said, it's a very large incident, and we're kind of catching up to a lot of those things. And the fire's not moving nearly as fast, obviously, as it did for a couple of days. So that information will be a lot more detailed moving forward now that the fire's at a normal pace, as I can put it, for what we're used to dealing with. So, yeah, all those areas are where you want to go to find that information. Absolutely. It's a concern for all the personnel on this incident. There's no doubt that they're going to have to move throughout the state. And, you know, we can all only pray that we have a shorter fire season than we experienced last year. But that's our job here, to make sure that we properly take care of these resources before we release them. So this is a long haul, as I said, but as other incidents come up and we need to move resources, it's our job to make sure that they're well slept, they're well fed, re-outfitted, and in a good state to where we can send them to another incident and they're fresh to go to work. Our critical resource request throughout this entire incident has been engines, crews, and dozers, and specific overhead positions.
There's an impression among a lot of Reading residents that the fire danger has passed them by. Is that accurate?
All I'll say is that we are very encouraged with the fire status in the city limits today. Firefighters are making very good progress in the city, and it's looking very good. We've had no movement on the fire over the last day inside the city limits. So things are looking very good, and we're very optimistic moving forward inside the city limits.
Thank you. That concludes the formal question and answer period. All representatives will be available for one-on-one conversations after this. As far as the information goes, please expect the next accurate update at 7 p.m. from the official release of information. That will have updated numbers and information. Please remember your cell phones to turn back on, and thank you.